Hey, hi guys, what's up? What's up, guys? How you doing? Great to be back. Hope you guys are doing well, and it's fantastic, fantastic. I see someone is already liking the live, so guys, most welcome to the Ugaman 01 live session, and I'm gonna talk about some historical figures. Hey, KK, how you doing, KK? Tia and Tia. Hope Tia is watching, by the way. Regards to Tia. She's making a lot of good stuff these days. You guys are doing amazing. Guys, check out Tia and KK's channel. Very, very amazing, guys. So, guys, most welcome to the live session. I am Ugaman, and this is Ugaman 01 channel. So, I'm going to be talking about. I'm doing good, KK. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, guys. KK, help me share this in the YouTubers group. Help me share this in the YouTubers group. Let me have more guys watching in. So, guys, first and foremost, I'm gonna be talking about Chadwick Boseman. Since the guy passed on, I have never had this kind of live to talk about him. I'm a bit sleepy, so forgive my eyes for being like this. Then I'm also gonna talk about Kanye West. Kanye West is shaking tables. Now, you guys need to remember, if you've been following the history of great musicians in the US, every time a musician has had issues with the labels, something is done to them. This was done to MJ. It was done to Whitney Houston. It was done for, hey, hi Queen Bunny. What's up? How you doing? Thanks for watching. Yeah, so it was done to so many people. And right now, we know Kanye West is a billionaire, but we don't know how much influence he can actually bring in the music industry, even though Kanye West seems to be winning on the front that he's taking. The biggest challenge that musicians have faced over time is where record labels, plan to destroy their careers, plan to, completely do away with them from the music scene. So this is what we don't know if Kanye West will be able to survive. But truth be told, Kanye West knows more than what he has told us. There is a lot that he knows that I think is going to be a game changer. Now, one of the things why this Kanye West conversation is important to me, and I think to many of you that will be following it, is if there is a change at the global stage, and I said the global stage because the American music industry is huge. When you talk about people of color in the American music industry, it's very, very big. And these guys seem to be living in a world that is so much controlled. I have read things about NBA. I have read things about American football. I have read things about music and how record labels actually enslave the musicians and they never make money. And the day you make a decision to walk away, that's the day. He is running for president, KK. He is running for president. Kanye West is running for president, by the way. And the thing is, his presidency is also gaining momentum. But at the same time, I think Kanye is trying to establish something that we already knew, but we did not have anyone talking about it. I just want to remind you guys that Kanye West is a billionaire, okay? Anyway, the video is just starting, so let me not spill everything. You guys stick around. So I'm going to be talking about Chadwick Boseman. You remember our Black Panther hero who passed on from colon cancer, a battle he fought for 4 years. So I'm going to look at him. I'm gonna talk about what Chadwick really, like the things he did, how they impact me as an individual, and of course you can tell me too how you think Chadwick impacted your life and what you think about Black Panther. I really have a bit of different version about it, but it's gonna take me time to tell you guys exactly what I think, but I'm gonna tell you what I think about Black Panther and why I think Chadwick Boseman was a very, very great actor who played a role that was so good. But I think we took it to the extreme as in videos. We made it seem like Black Panther had come to an end. Black Panther is only a character, okay? And this character can be acted by anyone. So, despite the fact that Chadwick Boseman was so much instrumental to this movie and Wakanda Forever coming through, it was so important. But I think the world took it the other way around because, truth be told, I also saw a lot of kids mourning, a lot of kids having all these figures, modeled figures, putting them down and crying and saying, "Hey, Black Panther is dead. Black Panther is dead." Chadwick Boseman is the one that died. The actor, the guy who acted in Black Panther, okay? That is the guy that passed on. But as Black Panther, we can still have Black Panther. We can still have so many more figures acting that part. So let's not have this feeling of like the hope is over. I mean, this is the first time we ever had a superhero movie for the black kids, for the black people across the globe. But I also think we took it to the extreme. We appreciate what Chadwick Boseman did, being the first individual to do this movie and being the first individual to go globally, create a movie that made more than $1 billion. That is very, very impressive. Okay, Chad was very inspirational even in his acting career. That's very true. I agree. They shall hire another actor, but the question is who? Who can level up? Okay, I'll read this here again. But the question is who? Who can level up to his standards? Yes, I agree. It is going to take time. It is going to take time. Hey, eating the African way. How are you guys doing? Guys, check out each other's channels as we keep going on this conversation. So, guys, my take is this: that Black Panther is a great movie. It's a great, great movie, and I wouldn't want Black Panther to stop. But I also don't want us to feel like Chadwick Boseman was the only man created to act that role. Okay? Chadwick Boseman was a great actor. There is no doubt about that. In fact, if you read his life story, the way he lived his last years, that tells you that he was a real life inspiration. He was a real life hero. That is very important, and we don't dispute it. But what I think we need to appreciate is the works that he put out. He put out very amazing works. But that should not rub away what Black Panther has brought into people's lives. Like I was saying, around that time when we were mourning Chadwick, I saw quite a number of kids, all over news, all over the press, and all these kids were sad. They were sad. They were having all these images of Black Panther down and all these other heroes up. And it made me think like, come on, what are we telling the kids? Are we telling them that Chadwick Boseman has died with Black Panther? Are we trying to say that Black Panther is never going to continue? So I think that's what we need to figure out and appreciate. We need to put Chadwick Boseman to a hero's status. We need to put him up there. We need to remember him. We need to appreciate the things he's done. He's acted in so many movies, okay? He's acted in the 42, where he acted Jackie Robinson, his biography. He's acted in so many movies where he's done a very amazing job. But as we put Chadwick Boseman to a hero's status, we also need to remember that Black Panther is going to continue. Okay, Chadwick was just one of the members in the cast. Okay, he was just one of the people that were acting in that movie. So we shouldn't make it look like hope is done, like hope is over. We don't have anyone that is going to replace him. We have people that are going to replace him. It's going to take time for Marvel to find such a figure. But I mean, there are so many people that Chadwick worked with, and these people must have seen how things were being done. So it doesn't hurt. They will find someone that it was heartbreaking that that was the first black superhero movie. Yes, that's true, KK. Everybody was heartbroken. Everybody was heartbroken. Let me tell you guys, I'm not a movie fan, and I don't actually have a lot of, interest in many movies. I have people that love movies around me, but most of the times when they ask me about movies, I can't even tell them what movies are trending. But there are figures around the world, especially in the black community. Now, when I talk about black community, I talk about, people of color. And it is important to talk about it because if you really can't identify yourself, then it becomes so hard to know where you want to go. And therefore, when we get people that have achieved something, we need to hold them to a good status because they become inspirational and motivational to the community. So I remember when Kobe Bryant passed on, you guys, I shed a tear. That was the first time. Let me tell you, I had only watched a few basketball games on TV. Okay, I'm not even that so much of a fan that I know the clubs that were playing in the league. But this guy made me feel like we had lost a pillar. But let me tell you something also, because the reason I'm talking about Chadwick Boseman, Kanye West, and Brianna Taylor in the same video is I want guys to bring you this story that is built behind all these figures that we see. But at the end of the day, when these figures speak, something is still lacking. Okay? There is a missing piece. It's not yet a complete puzzle. And this is why I think also when we come to the Kanye West issue, you guys are gonna appreciate why I think what Kanye West is doing seems crazy, because when you do things that are out of the ordinary, people think you're crazy. People think you really don't have what it takes for you to do something that is out of the usual. And I think this is what Kanye West is doing. So given the fact that the black community is rising, and this is our time. This is our time. I'll tell you guys, all directions, all pointers point that the black community is gaining momentum and is not going anywhere. And this, we need to appreciate it. But this calls for more work, this calls for more vigilance, this calls for more support. Okay? Because I know for a thing that when it comes to people of color in the diaspora, they don't so much relate with the people from the African continent. And I understand the reason why. Because, we've grown up from different environments. We've not shared so much about our roots. And we've not had that exposure. So many of our brothers and sisters living in the different parts of the world, which is not Africa, find it sometimes hard to find a basis for them to connect with us. Now, you may ask a question, why Chadwick Boseman? Why is he, why is Wakanda so important for the story? The rest of the world that you see, Europe, America, India, all these countries that have built something for themselves, Russia, they have built a culture that straight away from the things the kids watch, to the radio stations, to the TV stations, to the drama series, to real life stories, documentaries, they have built that culture that has taught their people of who they are. And in many of those movies, in many of those documentaries, the people of color have been positioned a certain way. Now, I listened to one of Chadwick's speeches when he went to a university called Howard, and he said he resigned from a role where he had been given a role to act as a thug, as someone that is on drugs, as someone that is confused. This figure lost this role, the character lost their parents, but he looked at it and he knew directly that this role was undermining people of color. And this is what the rest of the world has done. This is why Wakanda is a very, very good opportunity for the black community. This is why Wakanda is a very good opportunity for the people of color. It brings out the story that we have a culture, we have our heritage, we have our riches. This is the richest kingdom on earth. You know, it's got all kinds of expensive minerals. It's got all kinds of expensive resources. It's got all kinds of magic. Okay? So this is why this story becomes important. The same way we watch Spider-Man, the same way we watch all these other superhero movies, is the same way Black Panther needs to go to the highest of levels. And I know this will go on. So as we keep mourning Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P., we need to also reflect on how we actually take in the lessons that Chadwick taught us. Chadwick had a personal hero who is Denzel Washington. If you guys have taken off time to watch the speeches, to watch the messages Denzel gives to the community, you guys will be inspired. You guys will be inspired. We take long to follow up some of these individuals when they're still alive. So when someone passes on and the news is talking about them, everybody is talking about the radios, everybody, that's when we start to pick interest. But I want you guys to start following up some of these figures. I want you guys to look at people like Oprah Winfrey, okay? Look at people like Tyler Perry. What Tyler Perry is doing right now is actually what is going to bring a difference in Hollywood for people of color. Because Tyler Perry right now has a studio. He can produce all movies. He can set up anything for the actors and actresses. The opportunity that many of people of color don't have to show up in many of those movies is because people think their character is supposed to be in a certain direction. A direction where you're doing drugs, a direction where you're coming from the ghetto, a direction where you're the one holding weapons, selling weapons, a direction where you lose your parents maybe due to dope and all that stuff. So that is the character that has been put for the black community. And this is what Chadwick and people like Chadwick were trying to fight. Okay? Chadwick was one person who would walk to a movie, to a cast, and refuse to do a role because it was undermining his status in community. And this is what makes him special. Okay? Away from all other things, Chadwick was one person that stood up for his community. He understood the black community. He empowered the black community. He visited the sick. He was suffering from cancer for 4 years. He put out almost close to 7 movies in those 4 years. Okay? What was very touching is I read a story about the 5 Bloods, and one of the actors, hey, hi Glory, how are you doing? One of the actors went ahead to say, you know, Chadwick used to walk on set in one of his last movies. He used to walk on set and have all this entire team around him. He used to have a Chinese lady. The wife was always carrying stuff to eat and everything. So everybody on the set used to think Chadwick was treated like a very private person and this person that is like glass who doesn't need to break. Little did they know that every time Chadwick would go on set, he would leave very tired. So his body needed a massage. He needed to drink a lot. He needed to take a lot of stuff for him to gain the energy to go back on set. So you can imagine the mindset his teammates had, that Chadwick was being treated like an exotic figure, you know, simply because he used to walk everywhere he was going to shoot with a team. Every time he would leave a set, he would go for a massage, he would go for, you know, all these things. They would pamper him. And all these other guys used to think, hey, this guy is great, but I think he's possessed by Black Panther. You know, since he was king, he was a king there, and I think he's carrying this kind of mentality to every other movie. Little did they know that Chadwick was going through that kind of state just because he was sick. He was sick, and he needed all that hope. He needed to eat well. He needed the massages. He needed everything. Okay? And this is how people perceived him, that he was an exotic figure, but he wasn't. The man was sick. The reason he was moving with a Chinese woman was because he needed a massage on his body. For every scene he did, he needed a massage. The rest of the team members were always saying, "Oh, okay, this was a guy who is so exotic, and maybe because he's the star of Black Panther, then I think he's carrying that status." Chadwick was not carrying the status. He was out working himself. He was out doing himself. And how I wish at some level somebody can write us a book about Chadwick Boseman, the things he's done and the stuff that he did for the black community. This is what we need to emulate. This is a guy that would go and visit the sick, those suffering from cancer, well knowing at the back of his mind that he is a victim too. He's a victim too. So if you guys can relate, if you guys can look at this kind of background, you will really indeed accept that Chadwick Boseman is a true hero, and he was a true hero to the black community. And RIP to him. And this is the reason why I want to connect the Chadwick Boseman conversation to the conversation of Brianna Taylor, who was murdered by police in cold blood, okay? And also connect that to Kanye West's conversation. Yes, Kike says they wrongly judged him. That's, okay, let me just read this. They wrongly judged him. That's the lesson we should all learn, not to judge people as we don't know their struggles. That is very true. Many people judged Chadwick, many people, and people that were close to him. Those people judged him. They did judge him because they didn't know the struggles. He had kept quiet about his cancer background, and nobody knew about that. So it became so hard for people to understand the struggles he was going through. So RIP Chadwick Boseman. Definitely he left a wife behind and family. Of course, many people still anticipate that maybe Glory is here. Glory actually Master Glory made a video suggesting or that there is a school of thought that Chadwick, maybe his wife, could be pregnant. Maybe. I'm not so sure. But I think that would be the biggest news to happen to the world when that happens. And if she is indeed, then we just need to keep her in our prayers, because that would be the best news for us to see that maybe Chadwick has left a kid on this planet. That would be very good. And for the kid to be able to represent the father and to walk in his footsteps. Okay, so guys, I'm moving on to Kanye West. Now, as I move on to Kanye West, I want to take you guys through some of the things that I think Kanye West has been doing over the last 2 weeks. Okay? Over the last 2 weeks. Now, there's a story that I want to read for you guys. Okay? So, 18 years ago, Kanye West was proud as a punch to have signed to Rockefeller, which he called the hottest rap label in the world. Alright? West was a super producer at this point, but leading figures in hip-hop doubted his abilities as a frontman. I never really had a good rapper story, West told Complex in 2002. He claimed he once had a Capitol Records exec saying that he could really rap. Def Jam would have signed him, or he would be on the Rockefeller by contractually committing to the Rockefeller. Okay, so guys, I'm giving you this background because Kanye West has proved to be a formidable force that wants to change the music business in America. Just before I actually tell you what I think Kanye West is trying to do and why I think Kanye West knows more than what he has told the world, let me read to you some of the tweets that Kanye West has been putting out in the last 2 weeks. And some of these tweets may be offensive to people that think Kanye West maybe is going overboard, but I think Kanye West knows what he's doing, and he's a person that has been in the music industry for some good time. One of the things that I want to remind you guys is that Kanye West is now a billionaire. And being a billionaire, there is a lot of things he's gone through as a rapper, as a designer, as a person that is fighting for the black community. Now, many people still to this day don't think that Kanye West is fighting for the black community. But let me tell you why. Kanye West being too close to Donald Trump doesn't make him a person that is against the black community. Kanye West is one of those people that have gone against the odds, even when people think he's mad, even when people think he's crazy. He has pulled off the best of original stuff in designing, in working with companies like Nike, Adidas, Puma, and all these brands. Okay, Kanye West has put out albums that have won accolades and accolades. But here is the thing that happened, and why I think it is time to talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, someone else, someone seated somewhere, is enjoying the money that people of color in the music industry are actually making. Someone seated somewhere is making all these artists sign contracts, forgetting that this contract is enslaving the creators. A record label will sign you onto their global stage, but will pay you for a few stores and a few platforms that are paying for you. And that is what we all need to understand. So let me read to you guys some of the tweets. And if you guys are on Twitter, you guys can check out Kanye West. You will check out some of his tweets for the last 3 weeks. They have been crazy. They have been fire. And tell you what, guys, the first time when I read his stuff, Kanye West is not crazy. There is no billionaire that is stupid. There is no billionaire that is crazy. Anyone that has gained the billionaire status is not crazy. Their ideas are crazy, but they know what they're driving at. And Kanye West knows what he is doing. The unfortunate bit is that everyone that has come out, especially, and I'll tell you this, especially people of color, everybody that has come out to, yeah, true, KK, that's very true. Kanye may not be a role model to many kids growing up, but to those that do understand the content he puts out, they can really appreciate that, okay? So the biggest challenge that Kanye is headed for, these record labels have fought people of color to the point that after failing them as musicians, they make them bankrupt. This is the point that worries me, and this is a point where I think Kanye West does not need to hold back anything. Because I know there is a lot of stuff that Kanye West is not talking about. There's a lot of stuff that Kanye is not telling the world. Because according to what he has been spilling on his Twitter, it looks like he has a lot of information. And this information has come over time. Okay? But now where he is reached, there is no point of return. There is no going back. You guys watched a clip where Kanye West put a Grammy Award in a toilet and peed on it. That was communication where he started from to say, hey, look here, guys. This is value when we get it and the way we look at it, but it doesn't bring you actual value. The intrinsic value of these awards are actually controlled as well. That's the message he was giving out to the world. That the intrinsic value we attach to these accolades is actually not worth it. He still thinks that we need to do more for our music. We need to do more in owning copyright. There needs to be more in, understanding the contracts that musicians sign. Michael Jackson had issues with Sony on the same front. I won't even mention the African artists who have been signed onto Sony and have left disparate people. People that at one time had hit bangers. people that had hit songs are now desperately surviving, looking for survival in this world. Every artist, Whitney Houston, every artist that has actually had issues with Sony, they either end up having a drug problem or they end up having all these stories created to create a very bad figure out of them, to say, hey, look here, these people were addicted. Look here, these people were done this and this. Look here, these people lost out in music because they lost control of themselves. That is what these guys have successfully done for the longest time. Yes, that's very true, Keke. They control who wins. They control where the accolades go. The record labels do control. The guys who sponsor do control. They know this. And this is why Kanye is coming out to say, look here, we have lost enough and now it is time to get back what belongs to us. If I sign up with a record label, I will lease my music to them. And it should be leased to them. It should not be music they own for life. It should not be music they own for life. This is why Kanye is saying it is time to redesign. It is time to rethink these contracts. And I'll tell you guys, what Kanye West is doing in the music industry is what is happening in the acting industry. This is where people bring their plays, people bring their movies, writers bring their content, and they ain't paid. They ain't paid. If they pay, they're paid peanuts. And the guys at the record labels, they do own their works for life. This is what Kanye is driving to change. Now, many of you may think Kanye is crazy, but he's not. So, here are some of the suggestions that Kanye put forward. Number one, he said the artist should own the copyright in the recordings and the songs, and the artist leases the songs to the record label or publisher for a limited time, which is a contract of either 1 year or 2 years. Okay, that is one of the suggestions he put forward. Secondly, this is what Kanye West wants to change. The record label or publisher is a service provider that receives a share of the income for a limited term when the contract still holds. Okay, the split can be 80-20. 80% of the income to the artist, 20% of the income to the record label. That is what Kanye West is suggesting. Now, what has been happening is that the record label and the artist have been sharing 50-50, only in circumstances where everything is clear. Remember, there is a lot of music that is sold on streams. There's a lot of music that is played on streaming services, on televisions. All this money is paid to the record label. Some of this money is never declared to the artist. So only those streaming apps, say like iTunes, Apple, Spotify, those are the only platforms where the artist is getting 50% of the income and the label has been getting 50% of that. Kanye West is saying that is so unfair. It needs to be 80-20. 80-20. And I think I do agree, because if you look at it, it's the artists that put in the work. It's the artists. The record label is a distributor. These are the people that will go and say, let's this song win an award and stuff like that. They don't actually put in the work. They distribute the works of the artists. And therefore, it is very right that instead of 50-50, they do 80-20. Okay? So, of course, Kanye West again goes ahead to say artists must be dependent on no one but themselves to manage their catalog. You should need no one else to understand the business you're in. Okay? The record labels have been telling people, you don't understand this business. All you do is you know how to put out music. Okay? So let's make you understand the business. Let's take you to the next level. And this is how artists have been losing out over time. I want to tell you guys that for some of you that are watching this video live, you know, Keke. Keke says it makes sense that way as the artist, okay, as the artist is the one who really puts in the work and the talent. Keke, that's very true. Now, I want to tell you guys, for those of you that are watching this video, that if you look at artists like Michael Jackson, and I want to give you real examples. If you look at artists like Whitney Houston, if you look at artists like Prince, these guys were global superstars. These guys were global icons. These guys moved the world. They moved the world from point A to point B. These guys stepped in every single city there is in the world that is a first world city. They performed. They had the best of everything. The day they started to question their contracts with the labels like Sony and all these others is the day they started calling them addicts of drugs and all these sorts of things. They played them out to the level that they became broke. Their music lost market. They called them addicts and they died miserably. None of those figures I have mentioned above had a death that was respectable. None of them had a death that was not attached to drug addiction. None of them had a death that was not surrounded by controversy. This is what Kanye West is telling the world. He says enough is enough. Global icons have lost out on serious creation of wealth, and I'm talking about generational wealth. Imagine if the MJ family owned 80% of the income from the music and the record labels owned 20. MJ's family would be rich for the next 10 generations. But now it may be hard. Whitney Houston, Prince, okay? Yes, they all become bankrupt, KK. All these people become bankrupt. This is how terrible record labels can be. And like I told you guys, the black community is rising. You guys may believe it or not, the black community is going levels. Here in Africa, people are waking up and getting a sense of belonging. We're trying to bridge the divide that we had. You know, because the black community in Africa has not been connecting up so well with the black community in the diaspora. This is what we are bridging. Everybody is waking up to the reality. We're waking up and saying, hey, look here. We should not be suppressed. I'm not going to be surprised that what is happening to the music industry today that Kanye West has started will be appreciated 10 years from now by the people that will be in the music industry, 10 times richer than the billionaires today, 10 times making more money than all the musicians from Michael Jackson to Prince to Whitney Houston and all these other guys. That is what is going to happen. But the conversation that changes that must start today. And truth be told, Kanye West knows more than we all know. He deeply knows these things. If Kanye West deals with them directly and he fails, he will have to bring in other people to support him. What Kanye West is talking about today is happening in the NBA. It is happening in NFL. And this keeps coming down to all these other global bodies that control the entire sport, that control all these athletes, boxing, athletics. These people are losing lots of millions to labels that create, an image of their works and start earning out of them. So, as I wind up Kanye West's conversation, guys, and I want you guys to give this conversation deep thought. Let's not look at things the way simply they appear. Let's not look at things to think, the black community in America is doing this. I know so many Africans that have been signed to Sony, and the same problem of drug addiction has somehow showed up, and it has been used as a reason for their decline in terms of music. And before you know it, these people run bankrupt, and before you know it, they die from drug addiction. Not cancer, not accidents, drug addiction, drug overdose, and stuff like that. This is how much music labels, entertainment labels control the artists. Even here in Africa, I know Ugandan artists that were signed on to Sony. But when you ask a question today where those people are, you're going to be shocked. The same stories I've told you, the same stories they said about Michael Jackson, the same stories they said about Whitney Houston, the same stories they said about Prince, the same stories that have been said about so many mega superstars are the same stories Kanye West is talking about. Now, Kanye is a billionaire today, and he's got some bit of formidable force. Not everybody is able to come out. Many of the artists that passed on, MJ, Whitney Houston, they fell out with the record labels at a time when they didn't have enough money, at a time when they were not making many concerts, at a time when they hadn't earned a lot of money from YouTube. This is why they were rendered powerless. And this is what empowers Kanye West now. He still earns a lot of money from other businesses. He still has the potential. He's running for the US presidency. He has the power to talk about these issues. He has the money. He still has the money muscle. And this is why I think Kanye should actually go beyond what we know and what he has told us, because I know that Kanye West understands that business much better. He's done a lot of, contracts and stuff. He should come out and expose all this, that for the young generation to learn and make sure they do it better. All right. So that is Kanye West. And of course, this conversation goes on. You guys can Google and see what's happening with that. But it looks like Kanye West is actually gaining a lot of traction and the conversation is becoming better and better and better. So I want to wind up this conversation with one of the incidents that happened a few weeks back. Not actually a few weeks back, a few months back, and has changed the history of black people being shot in the American community, and has also sent out a signal to the rest of the world. I'm talking about Brianna Taylor, a 26-year African American who was actually an emergency medical technician. She was shot at by police at her residence. She was with her boyfriend and police checked him, and they shot at her and she passed on. Now, Brianna's death, talking about George Floyd, talking about all these people that have been killed by police, one thing has stood out for Brianna's death. The United States Police, for the first time in history, the United States Police paid out $12 million to the family of Brianna Taylor. This case was so historical not because the police paid out money, but because it is going to cause a change that will forever change how police treats black people. It is gonna change that history. This is why I'm telling you guys that with what happened with George Floyd, the world took on an entire massive sweep to say, look here, we need to reform the police. We need to reform the policies. We need to reform, how communities looked at. It came to Brianna Taylor's case. The police paid out $12 million. I want you guys to think about it. People carried out strikes across the world. People carried out strikes. A lot of things were done to bring justice to people that have lost lives recklessly to the hands of police that are supposed to be protecting them. I have a feeling that people say this culture has been embedded in the police. We became too silent. It became a normal thing for a black kid to be called a drug dealer even when they have no drugs. For a black kid coming from the ghetto to be called an addict even when there was no addiction. For a black kid to be called someone who cannot graduate, someone who cannot go to school. This mental slavery is what we've had for the longest time. So when you see people coming out to fight for the rights of people like Brianna Taylor, it becomes very, very important, guys. It is very, very important. And I want you guys for a moment to think about it. How many cops are now willing to shoot more black people for the police to pay out $12 million? Because $12 million has set the foundation. That is what the police has paid to the family of Brianna Taylor. But how many departments how many police departments are willing to go and offer that money? This one incident is reinstilling discipline in the entire police force across the globe. Not only across America, across the globe. For shooting an innocent individual, 26-year-old African-American lady, and the police is pushed to the wall to compensate her family with $12 million. Now, don't look at this figure as something to joke with, guys. For police to cough $12 million, that is taxpayers' money. They are not ready to cough that many more times. Meaning, they are not ready to keep shooting people. Because once this incident is set, you cannot keep shooting people. How much money does police have to keep paying? Maybe Brianna Taylor did not have a huge biological family. How much money do you have to pay for a person that has a huge family when you shoot them? So it is going to instill discipline back. That did not actually stop the police from investigating the officers that shot and killed Brianna. They went ahead to investigate. But what I'm talking about is the fact that for the first time in history, I'm not sure if there is anyone that has ever been paid out that amount for falling out with police, but I'm very, very sure that Brianna Taylor has gone down in history as one of the individuals taken down by police innocently and compensated $12 million to the family. The black community is rising, guys. The black community is becoming stronger. Where you are is where you need to understand the things that have kept us backwards. Because this is a time to change. It's a time to change. It's a time to get interested in our roots. It's a time to get interested in our cultures. It's a time to get interested in where we come from. If you have children, if you're a parent, teach your children. Teach them that they're not drug addicts. Teach them that they're not gun dealers. Teach them that gangster life is not a way of black people. Teach them that black kids can graduate from universities. Teach them that black kids can work and get money. Teach them that black kids don't only steal to get money. This is where the world is going. The faster we realize that things are changing and the world is becoming a better place, because we are slowly getting to get a sense of belonging and to understand the things that we are supposed to have, to understand how we're supposed to be treated, to understand how valuable our lives are. This is much better for our generation. We have a lot of tools to help us spread the information. We have a lot of tools to help us learn what's going on in the world. This is a time for change. And this change starts with you and me when we do act. Thank you guys so much for watching me. And definitely, I'll be checking you guys again on some of these live videos. And I hope you guys will have a fantastic time when you're watching these conversations. Don't forget to follow me up on Twitter. Go check out Ugaman01. You'll see my account. Please check on me. Send me a DM. Let me know that you got to know about me from YouTube. And then I'll be able to respond and also share some of your content to other people. Thank you so much for those of you that have been watching. Queen Bunny, Muscle Glory, Tia and KK. And Tia and KK, I love your content. I so much love your content, guys. Keep going strong. And thank you so much for everybody that has watched. And please drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the conversation. And also let me know some of the stories that you think you're interested in that I'll be looking at on this channel. So I love you so much, guys, and God bless.